What's up, you beautiful collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 460 of the 1/6 scale Black Widow from Avengers Infinity War. For the package, so far we've only really taken a look at the Groot rocket set, but you can see it's very similar. You had that nice A there in the background with a really nice image of Scarlet right there. Boy, I wish her hair on the figure actually looked like that. You see Black Widow, you got this nice gold foil Avengers Infinity War logo down there. Side here has her kind of Black Widow logo. Opposite side here has the Infinity Gauntlet with all of the stones inside. On the back of the package, you got the various warnings and contact information for Hot Toys, and then it is a slip sleeve cover, so you just pull this up like so, and you can kind of see that it's indented down here, and then it shows her little Black Widow logo, of course the Avengers A, and then that foil logo that I was talking about before is actually a part of the inner package. So when you lift this, that's there we go. When you lift it up, just like so on the inside here, obviously on the back of the package you got the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. You got the Avengers A, you got her Black Widow logo. The opposite side doesn't have anything except another one of those little gold foil bits that is left over from that little cut on the outer sleeve. And then on the front here you can see that you have an open window that fully showcases the figure as well as all of her accessories. But for the packaging on these, obviously fairly simple. We're not getting too extravagant with the packaging nowadays from Hot Toys. Gone are those special days, but for the packaging, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get her out here and see how cool she actually is. And here we have the Avengers Infinity War version of the Black Widow open up and out of her packaging. And much like all Hot Toy figures, you do get the instruction sheet, although there really isn't much to this. It shows where you can holster her batons, where you can put her disc shooters. On the back here, it shows what hand holds the disc shooter and what hand holds the batons. And then caution, the outfit is non-detachable. It's like they really just needed to fill paper, so they're like, hey, this is the hand that you use for this. So there you go. Now coming down to take a look at her accessories, much like all of the Black Widow figures that we've gotten before, she doesn't come with a lot. In addition to the two fairly relaxed hands that are currently on her, she does come with a right and left hand that is designed to hold the little disc shooters. Fairly small looking, but generally pretty nice. You can see that it is a gloved hand. You can kind of see a little bit of those ridges throughout there. As we know from watching Infinity War, Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon, they're all kind of on the run, and their outfit is kind of modified from how it looked in Civil War when they basically went undercover. So these gloves are very similar to that. You also do get a right and left hand, again fairly small in terms of their size, but designed to hold the little batons that she comes with. And then you do get a pair of fisted hands, which is nice so that she can punch you, I suppose. You also do get a couple extra wrist pegs in case anything happens to the ones that are on there. And then she does have a few buttons on her vest here, and you do get a couple replacements for that. Now talking about her little disc shooters, these are them. Really nice. They kind of look like flashlights, to be totally honest though. But really nice color. You got some nice gunmetal gray, it looks like there. You have a little bit of gold on the intersection right there, a couple little bits that sort of stick out. Nice black sections right here. They are pretty much identical, and then what you do is you come around here, you wait for me to get her to stand, and then you wait for me to angle the camera up, get these arms out of the way, and you have the little holster section right here. What's interesting is she doesn't come with guns. Is this the first version of Black Widow that doesn't come with guns? She's always used guns, but now she uses these, and you can see they just attach to the little holster sections that she's kind of had around for a long time, so you do have some nice storage for those. You also do get her batons. Now, as you can see, they come in basically three different sort of configurations. You got the smaller one, which obviously is going to store on her back, an elongated one, which is more just like the regular baton, almost like a little sword. Well, no, it's a baton. It's just a stick. And then you can actually pretend like the two connect here, and you have a full-sized, almost like bow staff, kind of. But these also look really very nice. Getting in here and getting it to focus, you can see you got a nice greenish tone to it, a little bit of black for the handle. You can see some nice textural details for that handle area as well. You can see that that greenish color goes throughout the entire thing. Like I said, you do get two of these because these two become these two, which then becomes this one, and then you come around here to the back, and this is actually not very. I don't like this at all. You have these little holes on the back of her little bit right here. You just put them in there, and they sit in there perfectly fine. But what ends up happening is it messes up her hair a lot, and you kind of have to tuck it around there. And the hair is already kind of a problem. But again, let me come up so you can kind of see that whole thing a little bit better. Oh, there's the end of my sheet. There we go. So you can kind of see how that looks with them just kind of hanging out there. And that's fine. You can kind of scoot that down a little bit, but like I said, the hair definitely doesn't help things. So I'm just going to take these out because I'm more than likely going to have her hold the batons just by themselves. So setting that there, and then again, take a look at this. Basically, it is the same handle sort of thing, but you can see that it, again, focus. You can see that you have this little nub that comes up. I don't know how this little handle section pops out or where that comes from, but you can see that it extends, and then you got interlaced with the little green section throughout it. You got some black bits right there. I want to say that those had the little shock effect on them. Again, focus on these. I don't remember now that I'm thinking about it in the movie, but you have that, and then again, you can pretend that they connect right there to give you this. I think they could have saved on doing this by putting some magnets in there and letting you do that. But this is a much sturdier sort of connection. Let's just move her out of the way. Much sturdier connection, obviously, as it's all one piece. So if you wanted to use that as a, like I said, a bow staff or something, you could do that. That's really nice. I just think that they could have mitigated that, but you get accessories. And then you do get the nice display stand. You can see you got the Avengers logo there in that nice glossy sort of print. You got the, well, you got the A logo, you got the Infinity War logo down there glossy. You got a nice image of like the galaxy or something there. And then Black Widow is just painted sort of. Again, you don't get the little metal plate on there, which is much nicer in my opinion. You get the adjustable cradle. So accessory wise, like I said, fairly light, but it is what it is. I mean, we've never really gotten a lot of stuff with any Black Widow figure, so it's okay. I'm not too terribly upset by it. The price reflects that with this being a cheaper release, but for accessories, that's about it. Now, coming in to take a closer look at Black Widow, the portrait's not bad. More often than not, with each subsequent release of a figure, Hot Toys does a better job of getting the likeness. I feel like this one, it's a slight regress. Not much, but just a little. To me, she still looks like Scarlet. I don't really argue with that. A lot of people don't like the hair, and the hair is definitely problematic. I did put a little bit of gel in there and kind of push it down because in the movie her hair was really kind of wet looking, and I mean that it looks like it's a little bit too poofy there at the top, but the hair is definitely not the best on her with this. It could be a lot better. A lot of people really do complain about Hot Toys, and I'm still fiddling with the hair. I'm like, that's really creepy and ugly. A lot of people like complaining about Hot Toys and when they use rooted hair. I don't think it's all that bad. I think some of them look good, some of them don't, but I do think that the hair that she had in the movie really isn't captured very well here. Also, I think it's a little bit too long. When you straighten this all the way down, you can see it goes down to like her shoulder. In the movie, it was about there, like mid-neck area. I feel like because you got all this extra length on the ends, it makes it stand out and not look as good. The other thing that I think that the sculpt looks pretty good, but I think like the lipstick is a little bit too pronounced. It's very red, I think, and I think that kind of takes away from the look of her in the movie. Like I said, it's not bad, but I feel like it is a slight regression from what we got in the Civil War version. Taking a look at her costume, though, you can see really very nice. As I said, it's like a slight evolution of what she wore in Civil War. I mean, you can see that underneath here, she has what looks like that kind of original jumpsuit that she had in Civil War. And here she's just now wearing this outer jacket. Gives it a little bit of a different look, but you can see you got a nice green color to it with the black and everything of the under section. You come down to the lower area, you can see similar kind of pants, and I'll do a comparison here a little bit. She has these little shocking doodads on here, and then you can see that the gloves are very similar to that Civil War version, but they're now fingerless. So it's like those gloves wore out, and they had to, she just like cut the fingers off on them. The gun holsters are now gone in favor of these little disc shooters that sit right here, but you can see that she still has the same kind of holstering setup that she previously had. She has the little knee pads here, pants look very similar, and then she's got the boots fairly plain. You got some nice textural detail on there. You can see that the back section here, that little holder thing for her batons, has a nice amount of wear and everything on there. Overall, it's not a bad figure. It isn't what I think is the best looking for the character. Obviously, it's a more accurate representation of the character. And bringing in the other two versions of Black Widow that I have, because I typically keep two in my display. One now is just kind of like an Avengers from the very first movie type of display, and then another one now is my Infinity War display. This is the Age of Ultron version, which for all intent and purposes people thought was the weakest looking. I really didn't like the Winter Soldier one. The hair kind of similar to this, where it was very kind of straight, but obviously not blonde. And I mean, you look at the figure here, and I honestly do think that Scarlett Johansson looks much better as a reddish brunette type. But this one is a pretty big deviation. The head sculpt is also not the best. It's not bad, but whereas this one might be a slight regression, this one is much more pronounced. But her suit really here doesn't translate to the Infinity War version nearly as much as obviously the Civil War version. You look here, and like I said, the gloves where you can see that you got those little ridges on there, very similar, but now they don't have the fingers on there. The boots look very similar. The knee pads, very similar. A lot of the stuff is almost identical. You can kind of see the belt here looks the same. Let me kind of come in here so you can kind of see all this stuff. The belt section here obviously looks the same. She's wearing the jacket, so it kind of covers up this area. I don't even know if you can unzip this. I don't think you can, and that's a little unfortunate, because I would be very curious to see if the undersuit here has anything similarly to, well, you probably couldn't even see any of that. But you can see that, like with the pants and everything, very similar look. You have a different type of material on the outside here, so it's a very similar suit that she wore, just with some extra added things to it, such as like these shoulder pads here that obviously she didn't have there. She does still have the elbow pads. Obviously, she doesn't have the backpack thing from Civil War. But the other thing that you're looking at here, and I'm going to try and get in here nice and close so that you can see the portraits here. I think that they are very comparable, but you can see the one from Civil War, I think, is just a far better representation of how she looks. And a lot of it has to do with the paint. The sculpts look really very similar, but I think that the paint, especially in the lips, you can see that this has a much brighter lipstick than what the Civil War version has. And I think that this version nails it a little bit more, just because of the paint. I mean, I really think that that's the big difference. Obviously, the hair is a much debated sort of thing, but all of the hair, I mean, that one actually looks pretty good. All the hairs on these figures, though, have been considerably problematic from time to time. I want to show you her old baton here compared to her new one. This is obviously a little bit different. You can kind of see there are some similarities, like with the, lift it up there, with like the handle section and then the little nub. This one here has the little like handle guard thing. You can see that this has like the weird little color section in between it, which might replicate that. So obviously her weapon changed, but I can't imagine that this being a result of like, an evolution of the suit, kind of like with what we have here. For her articulation, a lot of people say that it's better than the Civil War version. I don't know how it is, but her head is on a ball joint, so you get a nice range of motion. You do have that softer underbody, so that the neck does move all the way down, left, right, side. I'm trying not to do too much because I kind of had her hair looking pretty good, and now I'm just kind of messing it up. The shoulders move in and out. They rotate. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I mean, there's a lot less restriction in it, but I feel like the suit from the previous version was still pretty good. So you get a good range of motion there. You get a little bit of a butterfly joint, double joint here for the elbow. The wrists rotate, and they also move forward and back with that little weird joint. I feel like this gets a little bit tighter. It's not too bad, but I feel like that's, I guess maybe if you work it, it's a little bit better. I think that it's fairly similar. The pants feel about the same. The range of motion, I mean, it's going to move up, but then it's just going to kind of come back down. So forward, back, in and out, rotates at the upper part of the thigh, but the pants themselves kind of restrict a lot of that. You have two joints here at the knee. One thing that I also say is that the other figures, it felt like you could kind of, it was a little bit softer around the boot area. Let me see here. I know that one of these had that. Yeah, bringing in the Civil War version, it was a little bit softer right at the ankles, so you could position it where those ankles were a little bit more positioned where the feet would be on the ground. The boots on these, this is a lot more rigid, so you can't really do that. So, I mean, I'm trying to kind of work it, maybe just kind of soften it. I mean, it's not bad, but it's definitely not as good as that Civil War version. So all the articulation that you would expect in a Black Widow figure is there. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way that it's always been with this character, that despite the fact that she's kind of like a ninja and is able to pull off all these crazy dynamic action poses, you can't really do that with the figure. The articulation is there, it's just not as versatile as it needs to be able to perform those functions. But if you like this video, guys, I would really appreciate your support by letting me know simply by hitting that thumbs up button. It actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. As for the Black Widow here, it's a solid release. There are definitely some issues that I feel that this figure has that the Civil War version didn't. Specifically, I do feel like the articulation is a little bit more limited. That might be just because of the jacket thing that she's wearing. And then the boots themselves don't have that same flex in the ankle, which really does help to kind of stabilize her and make it so that she stands fairly easily. The argument about the hair, in terms of like the style, is valid. I feel like every time that a female Hot Toy figure is released, the first thing that gets complained about is the hair. You can make it look better, and a lot of collectors have no problem futzing with the outfit and things of that nature, but when it comes to doing anything with the hair, it's like they're instantly turned off and reminded that these are dolls, or that real hair makes it feel more like a doll. I don't know. I don't mind it all that much. I use hair gel myself, so I have some. You put it on a little toothpick, kind of work it in there, and you can get it looking pretty good. I do think that the hair is a little bit too long, which contributes to a lot of the kind of bulking up of towards the bottom, but it's not bad. But a lot of these figures from kind of Team Cap seem to be just slight variations of what we got from them in Civil War. Black Widow here is definitely a case of that. The upcoming Captain America looks very similar. He's wearing a very similar suit. It's just a little bit more dirty. Even Falcon, I think, is very similar. So unless you're like me and you like having the most up-to-date representations of these characters, this is one that you might want to pass on because that Civil War version is really very good. I feel that the portraits are fairly comparable. The only thing different really with this one is the paint, especially in the lipstick area, which kind of makes her look a little less like Scarlett Johansson. So, it's a personal preference kind of thing. Like I said, I have two versions of a lot of these main Avengers in my collection. This is going to be the one in my Infinity War display, and then that Civil War version is going to be what's in my just general Avengers display. I am going to be getting rid of the Age of Ultron version. That's just the way that I usually operate. I'll do the same thing with Captain America, because I have two of him. I'll do the same thing with Thor, as I have two of him. So, all that being said, if this version of the Black Widow is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, a lot of places are currently sold out of her. For me, I had to go on a Facebook group to be able to find her. So if you'd like to add her to your collection, the Facebook group is 16BST, which stands for Buy, Sell, Trade. Or I believe he has an eBay page, which is Kidult Base. Or like I said, the easiest way is probably Facebook, which is the 16BST. Look for Eric Lee. His prices are really fair. He's really good about getting these things out very quickly. This is the first figure that I've done business with him on, and hopefully I'll do more. Just depends on how finances work. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. But before I go, I'd like to send a huge thanks if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. Also, a huge shout out to all of my patrons, who through their continued support help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember, the real trouble with the world is too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.